August 23, 1945, in Washington, D.C., Macario Garcia became the first Mexican national to receive a Congressional Medal of Honor for his actions in the Hurtgen Forest.
Truman is beaming as he puts the medal around Macario's neck. He said, "I would rather have one of these than be president of the United States."
Macario returned to the Houston area to a hero's welcome.
He was a rock star. He was in the papers, he was on the radio, and he was a genuine hero.
But he returned to Texas. Texas hadn't changed. It was still deep in its mire of caste system.
Just 2.5 weeks after President Truman had placed the Medal of Honor around his neck, Macario Garcia entered a restaurant in Richmond, Texas, near his home in Sugar Land, the Oasis Cafe.
Well, the Oasis Cafe was, at that time, the only night spot in Richmond. There were some other places across the tracks that catered to some of the minorities, but this was the only white establishment in Richmond.
It was quite well known as a place not hospitable to Mexicans. There was never any evidence that they put the No Mexicanos ni Perros sign in the window, but Mexicans didn't go there.
We had very few blacks or Mexican Americans come in and ask for service because we didn't cater to their needs. We didn't have their kind of music, we didn't have their kind of food, so we just didn't see any of them.
But Macario has decided that it's time for him to have something to eat, and he wants to go there to have it.
Though the circumstances would be disputed, one fact everyone agreed upon: Garcia was refused service. The owner's son, tired out from football practice that afternoon, was asleep in the apartment over the cafe.
About 11 o'clock, I heard glass breaking downstairs. It woke me up, and I put on my clothes as quick as I could and ran downstairs to see what was going on. And the first thing I saw was a serviceman, Mexican-American serviceman, in uniform, and he was throwing things at the mirrored wall.
Macario picks up salt shakers,
Sugar bowls,
and ketchup bottles.
anything that came to hand.
Windows began to break, and all kinds of glass.
A fight broke out. Garcia was arrested and eventually charged. In his defense, he accused the Oasis owners of refusing to serve him because of his race.
Here's a man who's fought and shed his blood. A man who received the Congressional Medal of Honor, and yet he can't get something to eat.
Louis Payton's mother gave a different account.
She told me later that he had come in and was obviously drunk and belligerent, and she wouldn't serve him.
The incident was picked up by the national news, with many believing Macario's account. And there were other similar confrontations. Yet the fact remained that denying Mexican Americans service in a restaurant wasn't illegal, and happened so often it wasn't even newsworthy. But after World War II, their status as veterans started to change that perception. In the end, what mattered most was the question the incident raised. How could a country that felt an enormous debt towards its veterans treat some as second-class citizens?